Whether they're puffing down the hills or round the bends, confusion and delay is bound to occur. These are the basics on Thomas and his friends. This actual Twitter war with Chris McFeely. Hello, children who might have clicked on this video. I just want to give you a content warning that there's going to be cussing and whatnot. So if that makes you uncomfortable, try to click away, or at least get adult permission or something. I don't know what you have to do. I've never been a kid before. I was born at 18. I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but we have just witnessed the event horizon of the entire internet. Nothing that occurs in the digital domain will be more significant than what's just unfolded over the last couple days. If you're unfamiliar with Chris McFeely, then you just have to know that he is the creator of Transformers The Basics, and he is an alpha Chad god tier Transformers YouTuber. He's the most alpha god Tad tier whatever Transformers YouTuber in the history of this platform. But this man, he didn't know what he was getting into. He just made a grave mistake. He made what he didn't know at the time would be a provocative tweet.
How the fuck did *** Thomas the Tank Engine *** wind up with the snobbish adult fanbase who believes a preschool cartoon should be catering to them?
Oh god, oh dear god, Chris, what have you done? What unfolded is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Bad take. Dum-dum. We don't expect it to cater to us. We're pissed off because now you saying the legacy has been based on it when the Thomas Target for his life story in the same branches as the Raptor has been on the TV stories were based on the Nazi Red Opelio and will sorting robot talks about arguing about size and he talks like them homophobe for your he's saying his right hand like Thomas can be based in only eyes and just retweets anything that gets what the hell is that like on the show but don't sit and understand now that especially when you have no idea on what you're saying. Comparing Transformers to Transformers and you will see why they actually watch the show. You have to understand that saying it might be the worst genuinely because I had someone like this speak like this. I know your goofy goober ass ain't talking with this PFT.
Okay, that one's pretty good. I don't know if most people know this, but I can tell you firsthand that you don't f around with the Thomas the Train fandom. If you cross them, they're gonna beat your ass. If you have the audacity to say that Thomas the Train is made for kids, they're gonna kill your daughter and feed her to your son. The three kinds of terrorism are domestic, foreign, and Thomas the Tank Engine fans in that order. I've spent hours and hours of my life falling down these dangerous rabbit holes where grown-ass, adult-ass, bearded-ass men angrily scream and complain about the direction of the Thomas the Train franchise.
Who gives a f*** how Diesel feels about the situation? He tried to destroy the world, and you make him do this?
You know, some of their criticisms are valid, but like, why do you care? You don't get to play that you don't get it card on me. I was a childhood fan of Thomas, and I had a brief Thomas the Train relapse phase in 7th grade. I've seen every episode of the first 19 seasons and all the specials that came during that point. I've read the Railway series, I know what I'm talking about. Alright, take it from someone who can point out Nafford Station on a map. Take it from someone who has like the entire damn wooden railway under my bed right now. Take it from someone who knows exactly who P2 Boomer is and what scenes he was cut from. The things you're upset about don't matter as much as you think they do. Thomas the Train is made for kids. Guess what? At no point during the franchise's 75-year history has it ever been created with adults in mind. Reverend Audrey created the show for his 3-year-old child who had the measles. Guess who wasn't an adult? His 3-year-old child. In response to Chris McFeely, someone posted this image. A quote from Reverend Audrey saying, "You've got to remember who you're writing for. You're not merely writing for the children. You're writing for the unfortunate people who've got to read the stories over and over and over again." First of all, I'm assuming that when Reverend Audrey said that, I don't think he was imagining a typo in the second line. It's supposed to be Y-O-U-R-E with an apostrophe between the U and the R. Secondly, who do you think he's referring to when he says the unfortunate people who've got to read the stories over and over and over again? He's referring to the kids' parents. The quote that you chose to defend your argument actively weakens your argument. You realize that, right? Read Allcraft, didn't think it was for adults.
26 of these very small books with very simple text and sort of like I was making a present for little children.
Sharon Mailer sure as hell didn't think it was for adults.
How do elephants fly? By Jumbo Jet!
By Jumbo Jet. Oh, good one, Charlie.
Brenner acknowledged you guys. He really did. He gave you winks and nods, but he still was not making the show for you. He was making the show for kids because that's the audience. I have a 3-part message for the adult Thomas the Train fandom. Forgive me, I had to write this all down, so I'm going to be looking down. I'm going to be avoiding eye contact, but frankly, I'm okay with that because I'm scared to look you guys in the eyes anyways. You're terrifying, Thomas fans. 1. Stop creating a logical fallacy that Thomas is a complex show for adults because you're too embarrassed to admit that you watch a show for kids. I watch shows for kids on a daily basis. I'm not embarrassed. Transformers is made for kids like 70 to 80% of the time. Just embrace it. Just admit it. Say it with me right now, okay? I'm an adult man, and Diesel 10 makes me hard. I'll say it. I'll admit it. I'm an adult man, and Diesel 10 makes me hard. He's a sexy, sexy claw man. Stop pretending that Thomas the Train is in any way complex or deep to understand. It isn't. It has very, very basic surface level themes about friendship and not bullying, okay? The overarching theme of the show is about obeying authority. Sir Topham Hatt is a stand-in for God. He's an allegory. Every time the trains don't listen to him, things go wrong for them, but he's always willing to forgive them in the end. That's not deep. That's the kind of thing that they teach you how to pick up in a 5th grade reading class, and just because you didn't discover it till an adult doesn't mean it's a hidden theme for adults. 2. Give up the facade that you're only upset because the show isn't respecting its audience. I watched a man just angrily vent that a new episode of Thomas was about teaching a train how to count, that it was insulting and condescending to Thomas the Train's demographic. No, it isn't, because the demographic of Thomas the Train doesn't know how to count yet. Thomas the Train's primary demographic can't even aim their piss in a toilet without splattering it on the walls. If you people actually cared about kids, you wouldn't be making videos where you angrily cuss and drop F-bombs with no sort of content warning, especially because you know thousands of kids are gonna click on these videos because they'll click on anything with Thomas in the thumbnail, or they'll let autoplay coast them to it. You know for a fact that's gonna happen, yet you still do it, and you don't stop. You don't care about kids. You're only upset because the show's not doing what you wanted it to. There's a distinct difference between a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old. Thomas the Train isn't the kind of thing you'll find on Disney Channel, alright? Thomas the Train is specifically made with preschool-age kids in mind, and you have to do very, very different things. You have to focus on encouraging their development and their learning. The writers aren't trying to tell a traditional story narrative. They have very different goals and very different objectives when you're writing for kids of that age. You're trying to instill positive values. You're not trying to do complex character arcs. You're not supposed to. You can. There's no rules against it. No one's going to dock you if your show for preschoolers also appeals to adults, you know. I think original Thomas did. There's a lot of wonderful craftsmanship on display with those models in the miniatures from the early seasons. Alright, I find that appealing, I'll admit it. But preschool shows aimed for preschool kids have no obligation to do that, and you don't get to get upset about it. If you like this thing for kids, that's fine, but don't be angry and complain about it every day when it doesn't go in the direction you want it to. Reverend Audrey created the Railway series for his little son who he thought might be dying. How do you think he would feel if 75 years later he found out that Thomas the Tank Engine fandom is the most toxic cesspool on the entire internet? It's the opposite of everything he would have stood for. My grandpa was a Catholic father before he got married. I grew up around those kinds of people all the time. Guess what? Catholic reverends don't make 28-minute rant videos about how Edward and Henry were removed from Tidmouth sheds to make way for forced diversity. The preschool demographic is rapidly changing. 3-year-olds spend all day on YouTube now. Slow-paced, slow-burn stories about little trains driving around. It isn't going to appeal to them. You have to change things up if you want to stay relevant. It's completely unreasonable to expect Thomas the Train to stay the way it was in the 80s and 90s. Nothing can stay good without changing and evolving. Because the world changes and evolves. And content and media has to catch up with it. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. Yes, you could make the argument that the new fast-paced, frenetic tone of the show is completely antithetical to everything that Thomas was meant to represent. That's a fair argument. I agree with that. But why are you making this argument so angrily and so passionately? Because this is a show designed to instill positive values in 2-year-olds. It's not Game of Thrones. It's Thomas. This brings you to number 3. Give up your sense of entitlement, okay? These companies don't owe you anything you want. Hasbro doesn't owe Transformers fans the shows they want. I didn't like Siege, you know what? I said, oh well. And then I didn't think about it anymore. And Siege was actually a show targeted and aimed at adult audiences. Transformers Rescue Bots Academy was a show aimed for preschoolers. I watched the pilot, said, alright, well, I'm a little too old for this, and then I just moved on with my life. That's not an issue with the show. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and what it's trying to do. It's trying to appeal to a preschool age demographic and teach them positive lessons. It has no obligation to do anything more than that, and that's okay. There's no issue with Rescue Bots Academy. Transformers Animated is my favorite show. Anyone who's watched any videos on my channel knows this. I've never gotten upset about its cancellation, not even in elementary school, and that's probably acceptable. I've been sad a couple times when I really think about it, but I've never been angry. And this show's like too much of my life. The point I'm trying to make, it doesn't matter if it's for kids, for preschool kids, for elementary kids, or if it's for adults, or it's somewhere in between. Stop getting upset over media, over TV shows, you know? It's great that you're invested in it. That means the creators did their job, but it's such a waste of negative energy. Take a step back, think about all the active suffering and pain in the world, people who don't have the food they need, the water they need to survive. If you have to be angry about something, why don't you channel that anger into something productive and relevant to the world at large? Not Thomas the Train. Anyways, Chris McFeely learned a very, very valuable lesson about the power of friendship, and he summed up the whole experience with this wonderfully on-point tweet.
I can safely say I've learned a lot about Thomas fandom in the last 24 hours, and have learned a genuine answer to my assholishly phrased question. To put it in the language of my people, without intent to mock, they're having their first Beast Wars moment after 75 years, and Truck Knocked Monkey is winning.
Well, I just finished editing that, and I realized, like midway through the process, that the little CG reboot actually had a trailer released, so I figured I might as well just react to it while I'm doing this.
Here comes Thomas!
It's Thomas like you've never seen him before, with an all-new 2D animated look and laugh-out-loud adventures.
I take back everything I just said. You guys were right the whole time. Thomas is ruined forever!
Well, those are the basics on my war with the Thomas fandom. It is really I, Chris McFeely. I am cosmically powered. Fear me.